Bob Vila here with my home improvement tip of the day. If you have a solid color tile floor but wish it was decorative tile instead, why not recreate the look of decorative tile by painting your existing floor? Chalk paint can serve as the base coat for a pattern, or you can use it to create a finished look on its own. If you use latex paint, buy semi-gloss or high gloss for a solid look. If you're creating patterned tiles, high gloss is the best. If you want a new solid background color for your planned decorative effect, brush or roll over tile and grout in a continuous motion. For alternating tiles, cut in with an angled brush along one edge, then brush or roll over the rest of the tile in the same direction. Give the paint a couple of days to dry before adding an overlaid pattern. Secure your stencil with tape and roll over it one section at a time. When you're done, protect the floor with 2 or 3 coats of clear, water-based urethane sealer. Get more info at bobvila.com and right here at home with me, Bob Vila.
Progressive presents Get Pumped. Inspiration to help you do insurance stuff.
Hey, are you just going to stand there and let people not give you credit for being a good driver? You deserve discounts on car insurance, and that's what Snapshot from Progressive is for. So why aren't you signing up? You need music to get pumped? Hit it! Drum solo! Ow, that hurts my fingers. Ow, ow, ow.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
She used to play hide and seek in your backyard. Now, she's getting married in it. So when you see a bare spot, you need something that patches it fast. Pennington One Step Complete has a revolutionary formula that repairs bare spots in only 2 weeks or less. Pennington has been trusted since 1945, and now it works even faster. One Step Complete.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email at joe@onesocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and panel on ON 1240, WOON One Socket Radio.
Yes, good morning to you. It is Coffee and Time on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Joe Callahan, and with us on the Coffee and panel today, we'll say hello to Tom Ward from the Valley Breeze newspaper. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning, Joe.
I don't hear Tom.
Uh-oh.
Oh. He was there. You just didn't hear him. Everybody else did.
Good morning.
My fault.
Is it my turn now?
I hear you now. Very good.
I have 25 too many buttons here.
And also joining us, Paul Willett from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. How are you, Paul?
I'm good. We can all hear each other. It's a good day.
Good.
Excellent.
And Tom has headsets, but I cracked the speakers up a little bit. You'll hear them better with the headsets.
Oh,
if you hear them well enough,
I just need to be retrained every week. That's all.
we swab them down and everything.
I'm very trusting.
All right, Paul, time for first message from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you, Joe. This is beginning to sound like a broken record about the resources the Chamber provides to the business community, but I'm going to go there again. We're getting a lot of calls. A lot of businesses are frustrated about the lack of response or the funding, and now we understand that the Small Business Administration have exhausted their funds. We're told they'll be meeting again to take a look at some additional funding. There are some little things popping up. The U.S. Chamber announced that they have a small grant program that is going to be for employers of 3 to 20 employees, and that program is going to launch on April 20th. I just put that up on the website yesterday, so if you were to go on nrichamber.com, it's the first thing you'll see on the resource page. We're hearing, I know that the town of Smithfield is looking at a grant program that is connected to their CDBG funds, and so little things like this are popping up. It's not going to save the world, but people are starting to think out of the box how we can help businesses. Again, we have a wealth of information on the Chamber's website. if you go on nrichamber.com and click on coronavirus resources for businesses, we have a whole catalog there that started back in mid-March, and we continue to update that daily. So if you have any questions at all about what you should be doing, what you could be doing, give us a call at the Chamber at 334-1000, and we'll be happy to help you.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. And the first thing I want to start off with is something a little bit on a personal note, an observation I made yesterday, and I don't know if others have made this one as well. But we're all, I'm trying to do my best to keep the whole 6 feet apart from each other when you have to go out and you have to go to a store or something like that. So yesterday I had to go to a store, and I went by myself, and I am 6 to 10 feet behind the person in front of me. And when the person in front of me walks into the store, what do? They stop. They're in the automatic doors open up. Yeah. They step 1 foot and they don't move. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Please. You had a battering ram in your hands. Just push them. Well, no, yeah, I should have. I should have grabbed the carrot and banged it in the back. That's right. But now I'm no longer 6 feet behind you because I didn't stop. Right. Because I'm not expecting that person to stop. And now that person's mad at me when I squeeze by them because I'm not keeping my 6 feet. I'm like, well, please, just move into the store. Yeah. And then take a look around. They were probably letting air in. They thought they were doing their civic duty by letting the doors stay open and let the breeze blow in. A little more fresh air getting into the store. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right, just a little public service announcement. When you go into the store, move into the store. Keep moving. Just either go to the right, go to the left, go straight ahead, but don't stop in the doors. Pretend there's someone behind you, even if there isn't. All right. Now, I feel much better now. There we go. I got off my chest. All right, the first thing we want to get to is, Tom, we had a caller call in a question back on Wednesday. He wanted us to ask it to your brother, and we did. I don't know if you heard that. But they also wanted us to ask you and get your opinion on the whole thing. Now, did you hear the question did you hear John's answer? I did not. I'm sorry, no. Okay. The question is, should public schools be disbanded? I'm paraphrasing now. Should public schools be disbanded because of the whole remote learning that's going on is working out so well? Or at least in this person's opinion, it's working out so well. Who says it's working out well? I mean, we have no idea if it's working out well at this point. Here's my take on it. First of all, I certainly think there's room for change. And by the way, I say the same thing about the university system. People are going to start to ask really hard questions now for universities, for schools. There's no question that all schooling, all education can be shifted to whether it's Zoom or whatever. Some of those things can happen. And when they happen, they should lower costs. Are you going to need, for instance, if children attended school 2 or 3 days a week, enough to keep things like after-school programs, to keep sports teams. You're still going to want to have sports teams and things, I think. So if kids had to attend school 3 days a week, and the other 2 days they didn't attend school, but they had to be doing things online, then the question is, do we need as much? Do we need school buildings that are as big? And the answer is no. So that saves you millions and millions of dollars, but that's not something we're going to decide next year. I mean, these things take time to sort out. Same thing for colleges. People are going to start to say, wait a minute, my kids have been getting their education this way for the last 6 weeks or 7 weeks that they've been sent home. What in the world am I spending $80,000 for? Or $60,000 or $45,000 and having my kid go into $100,000 worth of debt and have a miserable life for the first 10 years out of college because of all these overpriced loans.
Why is all this misery happening? And the reason the misery is happening, and what you're going to find, and this is not a knock on anyone specifically, but what you'll find is there are fiefdoms, school departments, public school departments, private schools, colleges and universities who are going to say, no. We need to find a way to make ourselves seem critically important and to change things and to be able to keep collecting $60,000 or $70,000 because we all have a wonderful life here and we need to keep that wonderful life going. And that's where the crush is going to be, because that's what's going to happen is they're going to start to say, no, we still need all this infrastructure because we still need to do ABC. And to a certain extent, they're going to be right. It's not going to be we can cut schools in half and still get the work done. But it might be the case over time. Over 10 or 20 years, it's possible that schools can be cut in half. Or let's say, I mean, Woonsocket's not a good example because Woonsocket actually has some fairly modern schools for the most part. Not too many of those old ones like Fifth Avenue or Social Street. They're all gone now. But, you know, if this was happening 10 years ago, you might start to say, well, we can start to retire off some old schools and not replace them and just do things online to move things around and do a little bit more busing, for instance, and have kids in school 3 days a week. And I think those are thoughts or ideas that are going to come over time. It's not like, okay, we had this situation in the spring of 2020, and so we can start doing this in the fall. Things don't move that fast. And as I said, don't forget the political implications of how politicians who receive money specifically from public sector unions are going to fight tooth and nail to maintain their jobs and their fiefdoms. Whether it's worth it or not, that's irrelevant to them. They're not really fighting for the children; they're fighting for their jobs, and so it's going to be a very slow evolution. But yeah, it can be changed, but it's going to take time. I won't be alive to see it. That evolution's going to take time.
Have you had that conversation with your daughter that's over at Cumberland High School?
Yeah.
The changes?
Yeah.
May be coming?
Yeah, well, she'll be. She's young and she's open to ideas like this. She's she doesn't see it as something that would threaten her job, because as I said, it would happen over a very long period of time. So what you'd have is, let's just say you could get by with, let's say, start with 10% fewer teachers. Well, those 10% fewer teachers, they're going to retire. So I mean, it would happen by attrition. It's not like young teachers or young administrators like my daughter would be losing their jobs. She would just know that she needs to be part of the solution, and she is. She's embraced all this technology very well. She has the same questions I have of, okay, is this working? At the end of the, if you remember, it was only about 4 weeks ago, we had the superintendent of Woonsocket here with us in the studio, and he was talking about all this technology, and I said, yeah, but does it work, or what's going to happen to testing to find out if it works? And there isn't going to be testing this year, so we're sort of flying the plane blind right now. But but eventually, Patrick McGee, Katie McMorrow, all these people are going to have to figure out a way that says, okay, we're going to do this, but does it work? Or will there be some, getting back to my example of saying kids go to school 3 days, but not 2 days. And will there be some blend of, for this part of the curriculum, you really should be sitting in front of a teacher, and they'll get you past that. But then for these 2 days, it's almost like homework or things that you can be doing at home and working on at home. You do get educated, and it's all going to work out just fine. But that's going to take a generation to figure out. That's not going to and my daughter's only 31 years old, and my guess is it would be her entire life's career where this gets sorted out. This is not going to happen quickly. But I think change is coming. I do think change is coming, yeah.
All right. Well, when you talk about, the Zoom for the classroom, Zoom is not perfect, as I've been finding out.
But it will be. But we
have...
you're right. But it's just like all the problems with COVID right now. And people are still talking about moving forward from where we are now. But then you have, just last night, Gilead Sciences, the drug company, said they've had really good results with remdesivir, a drug. Now, and what they're saying is they're having really good results with really sick people. So people who are sort of on a path toward death are going to get better, are getting better. And so imagine if, how we can all take a deeper breath if going forward we can say, okay, I might get it, but I probably won't die because there's this drug or other. And by the way, all the drug companies are working feverishly to try to come up with 2 or 3 or 4 drugs. Everyone's working really hard right now. And so if you take away some of the threat of death, then people can start going back to work gradually, with testing and with precautions in the workplace and all these things. We're smarter than we were 2 months ago. And so I think, anyway, I got off the topic there, but it's the same thing. Things evolve. You can't look at it from a position of where the fear we had a month ago. Things are going to evolve. And so Zoom, you're right, Zoom's not perfect. But hell, it wasn't even here 2 months ago, or barely used. And so you've got Ring Central, you've got Zoom. There are many other companies out there. Zoom sort of just caught fire at the right moment, but there are other companies out there doing the same thing. And so they will be perfected pretty quickly. I'll bet you could, where you say Zoom, security-wise and things aren't perfect right now. These people are smart enough where I bet they'll have that fixed by September. So now what's your question? Technology can get fixed pretty quickly. So they will.
All right. We're going to take a first break. Oh, go ahead,
Paul. When we come back, I'm going to let you talk. I've been going on and on. So we let Joe do his breaks, and then I'm going to let you have the floor.
So take a break, Joe.
Don't forget what you want to say, Paul, okay? All right, it's time for a second message from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. So you're up now, Paul.
All right, I certainly won't forget about that. We've had to reinvent ourselves as other organizations like the Chamber of Commerce has done. Tom was just talking about Zoom. So we've been working with a lot of presenters, people who are associated with SCORE and the SBA to provide training in a number of areas for businesses. So an example, today, the Employers Association of the Northeast is doing a virtual series. They're going to be presenting it today and again on the 24th, and it's helping small businesses navigate COVID-19. And then we have best practices in virtual meetings. There is a way to, an etiquette that you should follow. You have the ability to raise your hand. You certainly don't want to be speaking over other people at the same time. So it's how to conduct yourself in virtual meetings. And we're launching a new initiative. It's called Member Monday, and that's going to be launched on Monday, April 27th. And we are having a member, chamber member, do some type of a demonstration. So the first one is going to be John Hu from JH Communications, and he's going to show folks how to create your own videos. And that's something that we've got a few of them lined up. So those are going to take place on Mondays, starting at 4 o'clock, and it's going to run from 4 to 5. Again, we have a bunch of seminars lined up that are going to be presented virtually. And if you want to register for any of these, they're all free. You can go on nrichamber.com, or you can give us a call at the Chamber, and we can help you through the registration process. So it's full steam ahead. We continue to talk to our members. We contact them. We want to know how they're doing, and we want to lend assistance wherever we can.
Okay, Paul, thanks.
Nice, Dick.
All right, and we're going to take a break on the Coffee and program right now. Comments and questions can be called in, 766-1240. You can email them in to me, joe at woonsocketradio.com. In fact, we have a couple of messages that have been emailed in, and we will get to them when we come back on the Coffee and program.
These days, we all probably know of a local business that is struggling to adapt to the current realities. Here's a small way that you can help.
Announcing the Gift Card Challenge.
If you're able, think of your favorite local business and then buy a gift card today.
Buy it online or pledge to buy one as soon as you can.
Every little bit will help.
Restaurants have takeout or delivery. Many businesses have online shopping options.
Participate in the Gift Card Challenge today.
Buy a gift card.
Any amount and show your support for our local businesses in this time of need.
Keep it for yourself to use at a later date or pass it along to someone you know that's on the front lines doing what they can to keep us all safe.
Make the pledge and buy a gift card today.
Participate in the Gift Card Challenge.
Post and tag the business you selected on social media and challenge your friends and neighbors to do the same.
Working together, one card at a time, we can all make a difference.
This important message about supporting our local businesses is sponsored by Countertops by Superior, 840 Cumberland Hill Road, Woonsocket. Visit them online at countertopsbysuperior.com.
Seafood is popular year-round, and there's so much selection. Enjoy it baked, broiled, fried, grilled, or pan-seared. For the freshest, highest quality in southern New England, rely on Wilfred's Seafood. They take seafood seriously. In fact, they have a full-time certified food safety manager. They also hand-slice all the fillets and feature their own chowder, salad, stuffed clams, and coleslaw. Plus, Wilfred's Seafood has everything you need to create your own small clam bake, including steamers, little necks, and all the ingredients to make your own chowder and clam cakes. Wilfred's Seafood, 805 Cumberland Hill Road, Woonsocket, 769-6260. Check their weekly specials.
Because of the coronavirus, in-store shopping has been suspended at Wright's Dairy Farm until further notice. However, milk, cream, eggs, bread, cakes, and more than 70 of your favorite bakery items are still available every day at Wright's Dairy Farm through their no-contact curbside pickup. There are now 2 ways to order your items at Wright's Dairy Farm. Have your credit card ready and call them at 401-767-3014, extension 4, 401-767-3014, extension 4, or go online to wrightsdairyfarm.com. You choose the day and time that you want to pick up your order. When you arrive to Wright's Dairy Farm, follow the signage and instructions given. Stay in your vehicle, and your order will be brought out to you. Wright's Dairy Farm is open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Wright's Dairy Farm thanks you for your support and patience during this time. The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
Music all day, the wonderful ON way.
Right, day and night, WOON, Woonsocket.
It's Coffee In on ON, AM and FM. Joe Callahan here with Tom Ward and Paul Willett. And Paul, did you want to weigh in on whether or not you think public schools are going to go away in terms, and we'll just go with this whole homeschool distance learning thing?
Well, I think there's, and Tom mentioned it. I mean, the social aspect of going to school, friends, being engaged in extracurricular activities, whether they be sports, the debating club or what have you. I personally don't feel it'll totally go away. And the judge is still out on how effective this is going to be, and it's my understanding that the governor is going to make an announcement next week about the remainder of the school year. But the pressure's on the parents in particular, and Liz Catucci, president of the chamber, was featured in PBN this week about trying to juggle the work schedule. If you have 2 working parents and you have the kids at home and you're trying to supervise them, eventually people are going to get burnt out with this model. So I don't think it's ever going to go away. But But Tom's right. There will be an involvement over the years, and sometimes, you need a kick in the butt to see things differently. And we certainly got our butts kicked with the virus, and it is taking, people are taking another look at how we need to conduct ourselves and how we need to do business, and schools are included in that.
All right, and Tom brought up the expense and like that, and I have a nephew that attends Dean in Franklin, and so he was only there for half the semester, and he's not going back for this semester. He's doing all his classwork online, but his parents they're trying to figure out, how do we get money back? Hey, we paid for room and board and food, and we only got half of it, and I'm sure other parents are thinking about that. For their kids, that when they all had to leave their college dorms. And I don't know what the colleges plan on doing about that.
Yeah, no, that's a legitimate concern, because what colleges will counter with is they're going to say, well, I mean, to a certain point, the parents, I think, are entitled to something back because the food wasn't served. The food service workers weren't working. They were probably laid off. I don't know. On the other hand, you still have buildings that needed heating and cooling, and that, so some of the costs are fixed and they remain. And I don't know about taxes on Dean College, but there are some fixed costs that aren't going to go anywhere. The electricity has to stay on and all this stuff. So a parent might say, well, pick an easy number to do the math on. If I'm paying $20,000 a semester, I'm entitled to $10,000 back, and the school might say, well, maybe you're entitled to $5,000 because we didn't serve them any food, but I don't know about the rest because we have to take care of our fixed costs. But this is all part of what I was saying. Actually, Woonsocket has a pretty good model of, part of the savings that I think will come in the future with less school space is Woonsocket's middle school. It's two separate buildings. And I'll bet you if you had a model now where kids only went to school 3 days a week and 2 days a week they stayed home, you would have only built one of those buildings, and all that money would have been saved. And that's the kind of stuff that I can see happening. But you also get into what Paul was mentioning. The only reason it works now is because the parents are also sent home. And,
right.
And so let's fast forward 3 years from now where COVID is cured. And parents are all getting excited saying, oh, it's this way, I can work with Zoom. Okay, fine. And the kids are saying, I can do homework with Zoom. I can do schoolwork with Zoom. But then you get to that question of, well, is the parents going to give the boss 8 full hours? No. Is the child going to get 6 full hours or 5 full hours of instruction? No. It's really hard to do for a parent to make sure that the child stays on task at home. I mean, I've never seen more kids in my neighborhood, and it's really pleasant. It's like Leave It to Beaver days again. They put a development across the street from me, and I see all the kids out on their bikes, mostly girls. Must be a girl neighborhood or something, but. The girls are out riding their bikes and out playing, and there's a couple of parents sitting out on the stoop keeping an eye on things, making sure, because we take our grandsons for a walk. I've never seen so much activity on that street. Now, this is at noon or 11 or 1, and theoretically, traditional school hours, you'd say, why is that kid not sitting in front of a computer? I don't say that because I know the answer. There's no way you can get a kid to sit in front of a computer and do this work for 5 days a week. Which then gets us back to our original question. Is this working? Is this educating children? Or are they doing something for an hour and a half, and then they're done and they're out, on the street, riding their bikes? I don't know the answer. That's something time will tell. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point about school buildings. You can see how if there was a new paradigm and a new model created over the next 10 to 20 years, you're just not going to need this much space. It's the same thing that's worrying commercial real estate owners right now. All this office space. And people are starting to say, well, wait a minute, do I really need to go into the office? I mean, maybe you need a much smaller mothership somewhere that, people come once a week for a staff meeting or something. But do you need all this office space? And that's for deeper minds than mine to figure out. But that's also a big question that's being asked.
All right, we are going to get to a message that's been called in, but one more thing on this whole education thing, and I think this is just funny. In terms of my daughter going to school with the whole distance learning, we got a message in from the school department this past week reminding us that there is no April vacation this year because you already had it, and we had it in March. But she's got the day off on Monday because it's in Massachusetts. It's Patriots Day.
Oh, from instruction, yeah, because the teacher's not working.
There'll be no instruction on that Monday.
Right, because the teacher's not working. There are teachers behind. It's not just kids, and so they have the day off, and that's fine. They always did. So yeah.
So that's what's. But I figure, she only spends a couple of hours in front of the computer.
Well, that's the thing. You're the only one here who has any experience with this as a parent. So that's my question for you, Joe. What is your daughter's experience? Is she telling you anything at the dinner table about how many hours is she spending in front of the computer, and how much time is she expected to be in front of the computer, and are there any homework expectations? Can you answer those questions?
Sure. Now, Massachusetts does it differently than Rhode Island, and
Yeah.
Rhode Island does it where all the classes, all the subject matter is handled every single day.
Mm-hmm.
In Mass, they don't do it this way, or at least in my town, they don't do it this way. She's got one subject per day. Okay?
You mean like history or English or math or okay, all right.
Monday is social studies, and Tuesday is English, and today, Friday, I know she's got French.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to be roughly 2 hours of work every day on that subject.
On one topic, yeah.
Yes, and so the teacher sends out every day by 8:30 in the morning. Here are today's assignments.
Mm-hmm.
So complete this on your computer. If it takes 2 hours, great. If it takes an hour, great. If it takes you 5 hours, oh well.
Yep.
It takes 5 hours, and so now it becomes almost a game to see if she can get it done within 2 hours. And so there's no real homework. It says, here's today's assignments.
Yeah.
Complete them. Send them in because it's done kind of by email.
Yeah.
And when you're done, you're done.
Okay.
And got the rest of the day to herself.
All
so
right.
I can see what she's doing every day.
Yeah. Now imagine, if you will, based on what Joe just said, and I'm talking to the audience now, imagine if that worked. And I'm not saying it does or doesn't. I have no idea. But suppose you do the testing 6 months or a year from now, and it's like, that actually worked pretty well. That model worked. The kids are getting just as educated as before.
Yeah.
Because you begin to enter a world where the teacher doesn't need to send out an assignment for 20 kids. They can send that same assignment to 20,000 kids.
Yeah.
And there will be artificial intelligence that might take those homework assignments back, and the AI will go through them to see if the child completed it satisfactorily. You won't need a human being to be looking at correcting homework, and so that's the kind of stuff that you start to say, okay, if that worked, it's a big if. Because there's really, I'm not seeing any human contact there. I was thinking more like Zoom, that the teacher's there and the kids are all there and you can see who's present and absent and all this stuff. But if it's going more the Joe model in Massachusetts, if that works, you can begin to see where education would evolve really, really dramatically, and there would be a lot of angst in the public school teacher networks because now you can send that same assignment, as I said, not only to 20 kids, but to 20,000 or to 20 million. And when that begins to happen, the world will change.
There is contact with the teachers, Tom.
Well, there is now.
She has that.
There is now, but
It's done by email.
Yeah.
I don't understand this, or I have a question on that, and she does get graded on some of the stuff. Okay, here, learn this, and then you go over to another place and say, okay, here's questions based on what you just have learned. Here's 20
Follow-ups.
questions.
Yep.
Now send in that, and I'm going to grade it for you and let you know how you did. So
Right, and I'm not. You're right. The teachers are working. I mean, the teachers are looking through this homework and taking care of things. But I'm just saying, once you start to throw artificial intelligence into the mix, once you start to, look at some of the real big idea things that are going on, between 5 years from now and 15 or 20 years from now, you could see an entirely different model of education, and where teachers that might be holograms are suddenly popping up in the house. You put a little pad in your living room that's 2 feet wide, and a hologram pops up, and there's all kinds of things that I think are going to come, and there are going to be powers that are going to fight those changes, political powers, because they're going to fight for their money, but there's no question education, the old cliche of you think education's expensive, try ignorance. Well, education doesn't have. I don't think education has to be anywhere near as expensive as it's gotten. But this is where we are, but what's going to happen is events like COVID are going to shake people out of their trance, and say, we don't have to do it this way anymore. And that goes for office work. It goes for a lot of things. Sure. And there's I think there's going to be a lot of change. We're going to kind of revert back to some of our old ways. That's what we're people. But I think there are going to be deep thinkers in the back who are going to look at this moment in time, this 3 months or 4 months, and say, what did we learn? What can we change? What can we try? And of course, the private sector will drive the trials, but eventually the public, people will start to say, what are we paying for? I mean, I can't believe they haven't been saying that about college for a long time. I just can't believe how much college costs. I absolutely don't think it's worth it. You've heard me rant about this before. I think it's driven by the fact that government keeps giving more to kids, and so the schools say, well, then let's just raise tuition, and it becomes a dog chasing its tail. But this will wake people, just like the parents at Dean that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. They're going to start to say, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Why are we paying this much? And finally, especially for certain majors of study, is this worth it? And for many majors, well, not for many, but for some majors, is absolutely not worth it. But anyway.
Okay, I want to get to an email that has been sent in. This one's kind of quick, talking about the whole spacing thing I talked about at the beginning of the program. He just wrote in, spacing during pandemic. This is a rant. Son works for a Domino's, and a customer yells at him, saying, quote, I thought you were contactless delivery. And my son tells her, you walked to my car once I drove into your driveway. Yes, we do contact deliveries, but you walked up to my car.
What was the person expecting if it was going to be? You're right. I mean, I don't know what Domino's does. I think they put it on the doorstep, and they text you or something.
We'll just drop it at your door.
Yeah.
And like that. And now the woman, I think it said a woman, comes out to his car yelling at the driver.
Yeah. Well, I guess they were expecting a spaceship was going to a flying saucer.
A long spatula.
You go to a drive-up window. You see a lot of people. They're still doing takeout through the drive-up windows. I mean, person in a window can only be so far away to hand you your food.
Right.
So there is contact, and it's kind of a foolish caller, I guess, or an email.
Yeah. No. I at a certain point, I mean, I know we're supposed to be more perfect. I get that. But I went for a coffee this morning. It came through a drive-through window. The person was wearing a mask, as they should, but they didn't have any gloves on. And when she handed me the cup, these are things I think of now that I never thought of before. But our fingers touched for a moment. Now, it wasn't a magic moment or anything. I'm old and she's young, but it was. But I something that I would have never thought of a month ago. It's like, ugh. and so. So it's not perfect. You're right. I've been to drive-through windows, and I think the employees generally being kind of careful, but on the other hand, kind of wearing rubber gloves and stuff is a pain in the neck, and they can't handle stuff. And so most of what I've seen at a drive-through in the past 2 weeks, I've not seen gloves on people's hands.
All right, it's break time here, and going to bring you the weather forecast, which is being sponsored by CVS. Today, we have sunny skies this morning, increasing clouds this afternoon, high near 51. Tonight, cloudy skies, snow possibly mixed with rain, becoming all snow very late tonight. Snow could be heavy at times, low around 33. New snow accumulation of 1 to 3 inches possible by Saturday morning. Snow on Saturday before 7 a.m., possibly mixed with rain between 7 and 11 in the morning. Then it changes over to all rain and a high temperature on Saturday near 44. Saturday night, mostly cloudy, gradually becoming clear. Low of 34. Sunday, sunny, high near 61. And Monday, mostly cloudy and a high near 54. And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have a temperature reading of
41.
Oh, 41. Thanks, Dave. Get free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and store essentials from CVS. Visit them online or call your local CVS to learn more. Restrictions apply. More of the Coffee and program. In fact, we have another message to get to when we come back here on the Coffee and program.
At this time, Gators Pub on Victory Highway in North Smithfield is closed until further notice. But keep this in mind, Lumberjack's Pizza and Wieners is still open and ready to deliver to you. Lumberjacks makes subs, and the wings are to die for. So while Gators Pub is closed, Lumberjacks Pizza and Wieners is open and ready to deliver. Lumberjacks Pizza and Wieners on Victory Highway, North Smithfield.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. Kara, tell me about your agency.
Sure. We started our agency from scratch, which means we opened with no customers. We have grown because of all the family, friends, and locals that supported us over the years. We are proudly woman-owned and operated since 2006. We're a family business, mother and daughter team, so you get 2 different generations coming together to get the best of both worlds.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
Coffee In on ON, AM, and FM. This is Joe Callahan here with Paul Ouellette from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce and Tom Ward from the Valley Breeze newspaper. And Tom, time for a first message from the Valley Breeze.
Well, we have, we haven't been in the office much, but I just want to remind everyone the paper's still there, and we are working very hard. The staff has been working real hard to turn up interesting stories for you, and they've been doing a very good job at it here in Woonsocket. Lauren Clem and working with Ethan Shorey, and there are there are even more wonderful stories to come. Lauren and I are aware of a really good story that you'll see in next week's paper, and there's really good stuff out there, and we're still working very hard to serve you, and so. We just want to remind you the papers are still out there. I'll be leaving here, and when I leave here at ON, I'll be going to refresh the racks at Stop and Shop at Park Square and fill them all up again and top them off. So the papers are still there and CVS at Dowling Village, and hundreds of other places in the local area. So we just want to remind you, we're still here, we're still serving you. What you can do is, if you need to talk to us, you can call 334-9555. The office hours are 8:30 to 5, and Rhonda will typically be there to answer the call and route it to the right person. The right person, whether it's a reporter or a salesperson, does check on their phones a couple of times a day. They can get their voicemails, and of course they might share their cell number with you, so you can just reach out directly to them. The emails are all at the website. valleybreeze.com. So if there are ways to remain in communication with us as things, as spring begins to arrive and other things. The papers are still out there. We're still working very hard for you, and so you can reach us at 334-9555, or you can visit us online at valleybreeze.com. Thank you, Joe.
All right, Tom, thanks. And we did have a message that was written in early this morning, and caller writes, okay, Governor Raimondo is projecting 2,000 deaths by October of the coronavirus. What is she doing? Does she practice medicine? No. Forget these projecting deaths. It's not necessary and certainly reckless. All she's doing is scaring the hell out of Rhode Island citizens. So shut your mouth and knock it off, Gina. I'm very much ticked off about this, as others must be as well. Well, I'm going to make an assumption that she's getting these figures from Dr. Scott.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, she's not pulling them out of thin air, that's for sure. Yeah. And she might be right. But again, you know, in Rhode Island, it's been mostly, and the most frightening part is anyone connected to nursing homes. That it has mostly been a nursing home problem, the deaths. Not to say there haven't been deaths outside the nursing homes. There have. But it's, for the most part, been a nursing home problem so far. And you know, people are very in tenuous spots there. But getting back to what I said, you know, 20 minutes ago about remdesivir, that was just announced yesterday by Gilead. Now, remdesivir has been out there. They make it. The stuff's out. They didn't just invent this. It was one of the drugs they started testing on hundreds of people to see if it might help. Supposedly, again, and you know, a study, but not a study. You know how these things are. The FDA wants you to do it on 40,000 people, you know, over a period of 2 years. Well, we haven't got time for that. But they did, as far as I know, a small grouping and said, well, let's try it on this group and kind of control it. And, you know, we know the other conditions the people have. And so they did that. And it seems to be working in many of the cases. So getting back to Gina's, or the governor, I should say, the governor's, you know, guesstimate on how many people may die. First of all, I agree with you. I don't subscribe to and I don't appreciate people coming out and scaring us. I mean, you know, I think that's bad form. But anyway, I'm not saying her numbers are wrong. She's not pulling them out of thin air. But if you add remdesivir to the mix and all the other testing we're doing and all the other stuff, because all this stuff has been ramping up in the last month and getting better and better. There are more masks. There are more gloves. You know, we've caught up. And so going forward, there are going to be plenty of masks, plenty of ventilators, plenty of gloves. Now you got remdesivir that may work. Oh, let's just say it only works in 80% of the cases. Okay. Well, instead of 1,000 people dying, you have 200 people dying. That certainly brings Gina's number down. That certainly takes away some of the fear. And so that's the kind of stuff that, you know, she might come back 2 weeks from now and say, oh, you know what, that remdesivir did work. And so I don't fear it the way, you know, maybe we'll lose 1,000 people. I don't know. But I agree with the caller that, you know, I'm tired of being lectured to and certainly frightening people. You know, it does seem like she frightens people because she's sort of enjoying this control thing, but it's not going to last. And that was the point of my column. I've taken some criticism for the column. I get that. I was ready for it. But the point was simply to say, we're just not going to sit still for as much time as Gina may want us to sit still. And when I heard that quote from Dr. Scott saying, you know, there was a question of Governor Raimondo, you know, what can you say to a bride who's thinking, you know, she might have a 40 or 50 or 80 person wedding next fall? What can you say to that bride? When might she have it? And Governor Raimondo said, I would think, you know, by next fall. But then she apparently, according to the report of Ted Nesi at Channel 12, glanced over at Dr. Scott, who was saying, no way.
Yeah,
well, no way? For the fall? And my point is, okay, you can say that if you want, but all you're going to do is start a revolution or a rebellion. People are at a certain point, they're going to say, you know what, I'm taking my chances, arrest me. The amount of people that are being unemployed by this, and everyone thinks that everybody's sort of getting a bailout and they can hang on and they'll just enjoy their time off. That is so not true. There's a lot of people that aren't getting helped, or their help may be modest. They live week to week. There's a lot of pain out there right now, and there's a lot of, you know, there's just a lot of pain. And this whole idea that everybody's working from home and everything's hunky dory, no. the second wave has started to arrive. This was in the Wall Street Journal 2 days ago. The second wave has started to arrive where people were set up working from home, but then it's like, oh, look at that. There's no customers. Nobody's calling us anymore. Everything is shut down, so now you're laid off, and now they're laying off white-collar workers because there's no commerce. And so this whole idea that, oh, no, we just have to hunker down and kill this virus is not, I'm just telling you, Governor, with all due respect, it's nonsense. This cannot go on indefinitely until the doctors say all clear. And so we have to find this middle ground that I think the president laid out pretty carefully yesterday. I think it is wise that the governors be in charge of their own states because the governors should know best what to do in their own states. And yes, Rhode Island is in a little bit of a precarious position, being between Connecticut and Massachusetts and New York. I think by and large, I think the governor has. Here's one thing I'll say for the governor: when she's not scaring people, you listen to her press conferences. She's so much better than the president. So much better. She's very deliberate. She's very calm. She lays it out well. So that part, her presentation, I have no quarrel with. I think she's really good at that. You look at Donald Trump, and it always goes off the rails. It turns into an attack on the press. It always sort of goes off, and so they become hard to watch. I think I think Pence ought to be doing them. Frankly, you listen to him, and it's like, okay, I get it. The part about always having to kiss the president's backside is just annoying as heck. But that's a presidential press conference. It's too bad. Raimondo's way better. But she can't keep the states closed forever. That's my point.
All right. Paul, do you think the governor should be doing these projections of how many Rhode Islanders may die by the fall or the end of the year?
I mean, she was proud of her team for putting it together, and I don't think it's a scare tactic. I think it's for planning purposes to say, okay, this is what the experts, based on the activity in other states, and we all talk about flattening the curve. For planning purposes, all right, we're gonna. If this scenario happens, we'll need this many beds, and if we do this, we'll need this many beds and facilities. So, I think that's the intent. It's predicting, and you know what? It's like Tom said, not pulling numbers out of the sky. This is based on the data that they have and what they know, or what they think they know. And I really don't think it's a scare tactic because she has been doing a good job, like Tom said, presenting. But as far as the numbers, I mean, from the chamber's perspective, we haven't been posting those numbers. We just post business resources because we're getting that information elsewhere. But that's just my opinion. I think she's doing it just for planning purposes.
Okay. We've been running late here during the show. We do have another message to get to, and we will. But let's get a second message from the Valley Breeze newspaper, Tom.
Well, just want to remind everybody that this has been very difficult on the Breeze and the finances. Pretty much everyone has been kept on staff. There have been few layoffs, and the new owners are working very hard to keep things going. Last week they announced in the paper, there was a column by Ethan and Jamie Quinn, basically saying, we will accept some donations to help pay for the staff, and I think there'll be an evolution. We talk about evolution today of the Valley Breeze and paywalls and things. But I'm not sure. I'm not the guy making those decisions anymore. But the new ownership of the Breeze are really, really sincere and good guys, and working very hard to keep everybody, employed and stuff. And so they are accepting donations. So as I said last week, 24 years, all the readers, no one's ever asked you for a penny. So if you'd like to help support local journalism, just go to our website, valleybreeze.com. You can click on it, make a quick donation. It is not tax deductible. We are not a charity. But I can assure you that all that money is going to go to keep our reporters and local journalists afloat and keep the Valley Breeze going until we get to the other side of this pandemic and get back to normal. So if you'd consider that, I just want to thank you in advance for that. You can do that at valleybreeze.com. Thank you.
All right, Tom, thanks. The Coffee and program will continue. Please stay tuned.
These days, we all probably know of a local business that is struggling to adapt to the current realities. Here's a small way that you can help.
Announcing the Gift Card Challenge.
If you're able, think of your favorite local business and then buy a gift card today.
Buy it online or pledge to buy one as soon as you can.
Every little bit will help.
Restaurants have takeout or delivery. Many businesses have online shopping options.
Participate in the gift card challenge today.
Buy a gift card.
Any amount and show your support for our local businesses in this time of need.
Keep it for yourself to use at a later date or pass it along to someone you know that's on the front lines doing what they can to keep us all safe.
Make the pledge and buy a gift card today.
Participate in the gift card challenge.
Post and tag the business you selected on social media and challenge your friends and neighbors to do the same.
Working together, one card at a time, we can all make a difference.
This important message about supporting our local businesses is sponsored by Above and Beyond Tree Service, LLC of Smithfield. Call Jeff for a free estimate, 401-529-4903.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, it helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Rhode Island Army National Guard. Aired by the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association and this station.
Thanks for joining us this morning on this Friday morning. Tom Ward is with us, and Paul Willett is with us as well. And we had a message that has been called in. So, Dave, can you pass that message along to us, please?
Yes, and it has to do with your discussion about schools and institutions of higher learning. The listener wanted to make the point that school administrators, many of them with 6-figure salaries, are a large part of the cost of education.
Well, they are, but that doesn't mean they're useless. And that's part of the problem has been that the federal government keeps mandating stuff that colleges or schools must do. And therefore, the jobs get created necessarily because they've been mandated to do certain things. And so when you look at, and a lot of people will look at the number of administrators versus the number of administrators from 40 years ago, for instance, say, look, it's just administrative bloat. We don't need these people. Well, take it to Congress because, for the most part, Congress has mandated those things around all kinds of nonsense. Some of it is nonsense, not all of it. But, some of it around political correctness and some of it around some things that you and I just shake our heads at. And they've so to your point, you're right. Do we really need these things? In my view, no. Just throw them all out. But as long as you get the Congress mandating these things, then the jobs will be there and you will pay for them. Take it up with Congress.
Okay. And when you, Tom, when you talk about when we talked about the, getting money back from the colleges are very good at breaking down their the cost. So we got your tuition, and we get your other fees and your student activity fee, and then you get your room and board. So colleges know exactly what each student is paying for dorms and food. Mm-hmm. So it can be, it's very easily discernible what could be refunded back.
Well, no, but that's my point. Is when everybody, let's just say everybody left on March 1st. They left Bryant. Let's just say the dorm emptied out, the mess hall emptied out. The mess hall. What's it? It's cafeteria. It's practically a restaurant now. It all emptied out, but they still had to leave security. They still had to leave the heat on. They still had to leave. So let's keep this discussion really simple. There's a dorm building, and now it's empty, but you still have to heat it. You still have to have security. You still have to have electric going in to keep the basic lights on and security lights on. So the cost does not go away entirely. Now, how much of that they can be refunded, I don't know. But I'm saying if the kids' share is $5,000 by the simple math of food and whatever, you're right. But But it's not that simple because the dorm is still standing there, and they've got to pay the mortgage on the dorm, and so there's all kinds of things that go into those fees. Not just it's not a hotel. Where a hotel has very expensive room nights because the people who are there on an expensive room night also have to pay for the empties. I mean, everyone, it's all part of a big package. So it's not quite as simple math as you might think.
You're right. Okay. All right. Something a little bit on the lighter side as we come down to the end of the program. What's that, Paul?
I said, oh, good, something fun.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he's already told us there's going to be 3 inches of snow in the morning. It's April 17th, and he's telling us we're going to wake up to snow. Well, that gets better. Does it get better than this?
It does get better. Ready? The Vatican has reportedly censored some videos showing Pope Francis joking that Scotch whiskey is, quote, the real holy water.
He might be right.
The clip, originally part of a BBC documentary called Priest School, features the Pope meeting visiting Scottish students at the Apostolic Palace. I'm probably saying that wrong. Upon receiving a bottle of Oban 14 malt, the 83-year-old pontiff blurted out the joke and then laughed. Film director Tony Kearney told the Scottish Daily Record that the Vatican's media office made sure to remove the clip from the film. And now various accounts indicate that Pope Francis favors a sip of whiskey from time to time. I'm not surprised.
I don't blame him. Go ahead, Paul.
He could. Maybe he'll replace the wine with whiskey.
Listen, this is so much ado about nothing, and the people who removed that from the movie really need to just loosen up a little bit. That shows, I think, a very human side of the Pope. I think he's playing to his audience. He's got a bunch of young Scottish priests in front of him, and he makes a little joke. And these guys, and everyone laughs. And these guys doing the editing have their undies in a knot. And it's like, oh, for goodness sakes. The Pope is a human being like the rest of us. And he's having a little fun. And so what is wrong? And then if they state the obvious later that, yeah, he likes to have a sip of whiskey now and then, okay, so what? I don't get it.
It's no big deal. But I thought it was amusing that he said it. I think it's a funny joke. And I think that it's odd that they removed it from this documentary. But
overreaction.
I guess so. All right, we've come to the end of the program, so thank you very much for listening in. Tom Ward, thanks for coming in. Enjoy the snow tomorrow.
Yeah, really. I'll take my sled out when I get home today.
And Paul Willett, thanks for calling in today.
Well, thanks. I hope you can still find your snow shovels. I put mine away.
So did I.
Actually, I'm looking at the bright side because normally, Yellow Bag Day, we wait until we're pretty sure we're out of the snow. Imagine if I had made it for April.